What's going on, people? Danny here. On the backside, on the heels of the video that we made and uploaded and scheduled, and you guys, and then we had a few people watching, and we've gained a couple of subscribers. And to all of you guys that watch me blab and talk on, I thank you. You know, everybody that makes YouTube videos, everybody that does things tends to say the same things. And it's not negative. That's not a negative dig or anything like that. Thank you for just, showing interest, right? Every comment, I try to read. I'm going to read every comment because there's just a few of them so far. I mean, I'm just starting. So I try to read your guys' comments and respond. And I meant to say this in the last video because it's pertaining on maintenance and things like that. This is going to be a video on critical fasteners, just like I said I was going to do in the last video. This is going to be the follow-up to the first video, which I'll try to link somewhere in the video at the end, whatever it is, maybe in the description. I'm learning. Guys, be patient. If not, just go back to the playlist and click on the very first one, which is the 1K service in the maintenance playlist. There's only going to be two, this one and the maintenance one. I'm going to try to put a link in here where you guys can find it easy. Today, like I said, we're going to cover critical fasteners. But before we get to all that, Mr. Editor Man, roll the intro. With all that said and the blabbing at the beginning, and now we've gotten through the intro, still working on all that too. Today's video is going to be a follow-up to yesterday's video, or a video from a couple of days ago that I uploaded and it went live this morning, where I covered the very first service that you're going to be presented with when you buy your brand new Harley Davidson, which is the 1K service. And I did mention in that video that it's going to be one of the most critical ones because it gives the dealer and the motor company and you a snapshot on make sure that everything in your motorcycle has broken in properly. For the most part, after 1,000 miles especially, everything that's going to break in is going to be broken in already. There's a few things that will still continue to wear in over the next, I'd say, 5,000 to 7,000 miles, and that's the primary chain, the rear drive belt, and a few other things. The most important critical things, which is ring seat and things like that, has already happened, and if it happened correctly, you should be good to go. You should be trouble-free. Like I said in yesterday's video, we are going to cover the critical fastener aspect today. And like I said before, critical fasteners are critical fasteners because if they come loose, they could cause you injury or kill you. Some of these things in here, some of them are just critical, but they're critical for a reason. I broke out Mr. Manual again, and I brought out something else that I'm going to show in the video too, because I've had discussions with guys in forums that present something that isn't going to work the same way as this, and I'm going to show that here shortly. But we're going to get into the critical fasteners aspect of it. I don't want to blab on for forever if I can help it. So this is straight from the Harley manual, the one I showed in the first video. All right. The critical fasteners are on a separate list by themselves because they want you to scrutinize them, right? In your manual, it will tell you every interval they want these fasteners checked. The 1K service is a critical fasteners point, and then there's going to be service intervals beyond that where they're going to want these fasteners checked for safety. Right? And you should want them checked for safety also, especially if you put a lot of miles on this bike. This bike was my daily transportation for 2 years straight. It was a point in time when my wife's vehicle had broken down and she was in my pickup truck. And this is what I rode. This is most of the 13,000 miles that's on it, or 12,000 miles that's on it, was taking me back and forth to work. So these things are important. On the Sportster critical fasteners list, which is, I would imagine, is going to be similar to the Dynas, right? Because I mean, the Sportster is just like a small Dyna. If you want to think about it, it's laid out the same way, just smaller in stature. So, to start with, hand controls. Hand controls are important. And if they're not installed correctly, or if they have rattled loose, and they sometimes will, and they fall off, it can kill you, depending on which ones fall off. The clutch lever, the brake lever, that's a big one, okay? Hand controls, upper and lower switch housing screws. There's a torque spec in here. I'm not going to go over all the torque specs. It's in your specific manual what they want these torqued at. The clutch lever handlebar clamp screws, the clamp that holds the handlebar perch to the bars, right? Master cylinder handlebar clamp screws, the perch that holds the master cylinder for the front brake to the bars. On the engine side, that's all that they have for the hand controls. On the engine side, stabilizer link screws. In the next, some part of the video, I'm going to try and pluck you guys off of here or move the tripod to the bike. And I'm going to go over some things that I've just kind of ran into as I've gone, not in a critical fastener check, but as I've ridden the bike, and I noticed on my bike that just worked its way loose, and I found it. That'll come up here in a minute. Stabilizer link screws. The stabilizer links are the links on the rubber mounted motorcycles that stabilize and hold the engine steady in a straight line in the frame. And they will work their way loose. If they come out, you will break things. You'll break exhaust, you'll break drive belt, you will break things. And the bike will just not ride right at all. So check those. Upper front stabilizer link frame bracket mounting screws. That's a big one, and that's going to come up whenever I move you down to the motorcycle and kind of show you real time. Let's see here. Front isolator mount. That's the engine mount in the front. And for some reason on Sportsters, they vibrate loose. Mine was. I found it. I torqued it. It's good to go. Some of these critical fasteners, if you find them loose or you have to torque them, they need to be replaced and torqued in a sequence. And I'll try to highlight those as I come across them. For an isolator mount mounting bolt, so they want you to check the bolts that go into the motor, into the frame, and the big bolt that holds the rubber isolator to the frame. Rear fork pivot engine mount bolts. That's in the back. I've never seen the rear ones on Sportsters work their way loose. It's always the front ones for some reason. I don't know why, but rear isolator mount back on the left side. Rear isolator mounting bracket screws on the left side of the motorcycle. On the brakes, that's it for the engine side of it. On the brakes, the brake banjo bolts. That's the bolts that go through the hose into the calipers that provide fluid to the calipers. If they come loose, you're going to know it, because you're going to lose brake pressure, or you're going to be leaking fluid at minimum. But they still need to be checked. Even if you don't see a leak, it's on the list. Let's see, front and rear disc mounting screws. If you find a rotor, any of the rotor screws loose, if you find one loose, you don't pull it out and you don't Loctite it and stick it back in. You pull them all out and you replace the whole set. They're cheap, and there's a torque sequence that they're supposed to be torqued down to so they don't come back loose again. And you need to follow your manuals. But if you find any of those rotor bolts loose, don't just retorque it. You need to go to Harley, or you get online and you order an aftermarket set of bolts, and you pull them all out and you replace them all at the same time with a good quality Loctite, whether blue or red. Some of these are supposed to be red. I wouldn't put red on these, because you'll never get them back out, and then you'll be drilling them out when you screw them up. But there's a torque sequence in which they're supposed to be torqued down. So that needs to be followed so they don't come back loose again. Rear master cylinder mounting screws, rear master cylinder screw, that's on the XL or the XR. That's two different models of Sportster. I'm just reading this out here. Rear master cylinder bracket to frame mounting screws on the XL models. Rear master cylinder foot peg bracket to frame mounting screws if you have an XR. It's a different model. Front brake caliper mounting bolts. That's the bolts that holds the caliper to the fork leg. If they're loose, you just retorque them, right? It's not like so critical to where you need to replace those. Axle nuts front and rear. If they're loose, you just retorque them. Sometimes they will be. I've never found one on my bike that's worked its way loose. Front fork handlebars, lower bracket pinch screws, upper bracket pinch screws, fork stem bolts, fork stem pinch screws, fork axle pinch screws on the XLs, and riser mounting bolts. That'll come up when I pull you guys to the bike. That came up in between a critical fasteners check. Final drive, rear sprocket mounting screws. This is big. This is the most dangerous one. For some reason on Dynas, more so on Dynas than Sportsters, but for some reason on Dynas and Sportsters, these bolts can and sometimes do work their way loose. And just like the rotors, if you find a sprocket bolt loose, all of them need to come out. You need to replace them with a fresh set because they're inexpensive, and it's inexpensive insurance to make sure that you're safe. And they have a torque sequence. If you don't torque them down correctly, you could warp the pulley, you could mess things up, or you could open yourself up to them working their way back loose again, with you may not realize it, and tearing something up or hurting yourself. So don't be daft. Go down and spend the 12 bucks or 15 or 20 bucks or whatever it is on the new fasteners. Pull them out, clean the threads, on the sprocket side, because it's a regular hex head, I would stick red Loctite on, me personally, would stick red Loctite on those and torque them in the sequence the book tells you to, and you won't have to worry about it. The next time you go to check them again, they won't be loose. Now that covers the critical fasteners in that. That's the critical fastener checklist on my specific bike. Now to cover what I was talking about a second ago, that I've talked about with some guys in the XL forum and on my Facebook pages and stuff like that, is they would present this. Oh, it's a tiny manual. It's a tiny, yeah, it's an owner's manual. It's a motor company deal from Harley. It's an owner's manual. I got this when I bought the bike because it came with it. There is nothing in here about maintaining the motorcycle. In fact, it tells you how to wash the motorcycle, tells you how to drive the motorcycle, tells you how to take care of a denim finish, right? It does tell you how to check the oil. It does tell you how to air the tires up. It does tell you how to change bulbs. But the information that you need, to maintain your motorcycle properly isn't in this book. It's neat looking. It's modeled after the big one, right? It's free. It comes with the motorcycle. That was one of the things too I heard. Why do I need to spend $69 on a manual when they give me one with my motorcycle? Because this is not going to help you. And do not Google or search an AI chat bot on specs or anything. Buy the book. If you spent, this motorcycle brand new was $89.99, right? I paid, less than that for it because I bought it used. But if you invested, anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 on a motorcycle, you can spend $70 on a service manual. And that's not being mean, that's just being realistic. This will not help you other than just riding. This will help you with T-clocks, maybe. Yeah, it's got a little thing in the back here where you can put stickers on your motorcycle, warning labels and stuff. Usually the dealer would do that. But, it's got those cool little cars with a bar and shield, and it's got a section somewhere where you can make notes. But that's not going to help you. Buy the actual manual, and you guys will be just fine. I'm going to try and get this thing off of here. Oh, no, I'll tell you what. Let me see if I can move. Yeah, I'm going to pull it off. Bear with me. This is going to be awkward. Because I'm going to try and hold it forward where I can show you guys. All right, here we go. There's my ugly mug. Okay. Now, we're going to the motorcycle. This is my Sportster. Now, I alluded to a minute ago about going to show you guys some things that came loose on my bike in between the critical fastener check, after I check things, to watch out for. I was riding the bike to work one day, and every time I would turn, left or right, I would feel a click, clunk, click, click. It drove me nuts because it was something that I didn't feel the day before, and I'm like, what in the crap is going on? So I go to work, and I'll go to looking, right? I get it in the shop, right? And I go to moving the handlebars back and forth, and underneath here, it ain't gonna work with me. Aha, there it is. See that bolt? That's the riser bolts. That's what holds the bottom risers, the bottom risers underneath this clamp, under the bars, to the top triple trees, right? Those bolts had come loose. And that happened perceivably overnight, because when I rode home the day before, it wasn't like that. All I did is I just stuck a wrench underneath there, under here, on that bolt. Sorry guys, it's bright, I know. There, on those bolts, and I tightened the absolute crap out of them. I didn't take it out, I didn't put thread lock on it. They hadn't come back loose since. It was just a little weird to me that happened. Another thing, it was in the critical fasteners list. I'm pointing at the manual. Here we go, down here. Front stabilizer. These are those bolts for that stabilizer. I'm sorry about the light, guys. I'm using the front facing camera. There's no light. These are the bolts for that bracket for this front stabilizer. This is the intake side of the motorcycle. On the other side, you know, the driver's side. If you're talking about cars, it was sticking out about that far. It was trying to walk its way out. So I did the same thing. I just stuck a wrench on it and I crunched the absolute crap out of it, and it hasn't come back loose since. But that's a couple of things to keep an eye out for on XL models, on Sportsters, that I specifically had a problem with. And I've got 18-inch tape hangers on here. You know, we're going to switch this thing up. We're going to put some T-bars or something on it. I'm just bored of it, right? And one thing to kind of keep in mind, if you're going to use a tall handlebar, especially ape hangers, and I didn't know this was an ape hanger problem. There we go. Okay, here, yeah. This clamp, let me get you guys back on the the tripod here. That clamp is inadequate to hold good pressure on those bars. And the way that I found that out, hang on. There we go. A little better. And the way that I found that out is I merged onto the interstate one day and I showered down. I was scooting. Yeah. I was scooting. Yeah. You guys, I know you guys have seen that video. I was scooting. I was gone. But I hit third gear, the top end of third gear, and I hit a pothole in the interstate. And when I did, the handlebars folded down into my lap at 70 miles an hour, 80 miles an hour. That was scary. So the way that I fixed that specific issue is I read all in the XL forum and in other Harley forums. I read all kinds of stuff. Pieces of beer can, make shims out of pieces of Coke cans and beer cans and stick it under there, blah, 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 blah. I didn't want to do all that. I bought skateboard tape and I cut a strip about that big and I wrapped the entire piece around the entire handlebars under there, and I tightened the crap out of it, and I marked the bars and the risers because they still move. They don't move much and they don't move often. But keep that in mind if you guys are going to run tall ape hangers on your motorcycle. You can't be torquing on them. And then I started watching old videos of, Easy Rider videos and stuff, from the 60s and 70s, or just, snippets and stuff like that of stuff from clubs. And before they take off, they'll grab the bars and yank them over. It's because they were they had fallen down before. So apparently it's just an ape hanger thing. And if you're going to run ape hangers and they're big, they're this tall. I mean, these bars are comfortable. But they are very awkward when it comes to, I'm going to yank them in my lap again. It scares the crap out of me, right? I've had the bars on here for 5-6 years, you know, and since I put the skateboard tape on there, they don't really move that much anymore. I've gotten off topic, but I just wanted to show a couple of things on my specific motorcycle, including my ape hanger, ape hanger debacle to kind of keep an eye out for. The stabilizer in the front, where it's bolted to the front head, watch those bolts. They like to walk out. And if the one just falls out, that just means you're going to have to go buy one. Watch the riser bolts. If the riser bolts fall out, you're kind of screwed. That's a big one, right? And if you put ape hangers on, do your due diligence. Either drill through that top clamp and bolt it in place where they can't move, or just stick something under there where you're not going to yank them in your lap, because it's going to happen at the worst possible time. And if you ain't quick enough to catch it, you could end up crashing. So keep that in mind, guys. That covers the critical fasteners. Like I said in the previous video, and I do have to always put in here, you know, in the description, that to work on your own motorcycle, hey, it's very rewarding. It saves you a lot of money, and then you end up knowing your personal motorcycle in the end. But it's got to be done correctly. You got to do it by the book so that you remain safe. And so anytime you work on your own motorcycle, this video and all of the videos in this series are my personal journey, and it's on maintenance and it's information, right? So when you go to work on your own stuff, you're doing it at your own risk. So, you know, learn your stuff. Get all the things you need. Invest. I'm going to end with this, and we'll get out of here because we're at 20 minutes. Since I was an auto mechanic for 25 years, I have a bunch of expensive tools. Not because I want expensive tools, but because I just needed them. Anybody that works on motorcycles or cars or diesel trucks or anything, you know that if you don't buy good stuff, you'll continue to buy it like every 6 months. But this is my big torque wrench. It was an extremely expensive investment, but it's worked. I used it on cars for years. It's maintained properly. And this is my inch-pound torque wrench. You don't have to buy a $600 Matco torque wrench. You don't have to. You can go and get the one from Napa, and it'll be just as good. You just don't want to get a super, super cheap one. My inch-pound torque wrench was from Napa, their brand of tool, whatever it is, or whatever, and it's been great. So invest in a couple of torque wrenches, invest in a set of, let me close this up. Invest in a set of good quality SAE open-end wrenches, gear wrenches if you can find them. Invest in a good quality set of Torx bits that fit on your ratchets. And you guys, you know, just your basic stuff. You don't have to have a ton. You don't have to have, hang on. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but I'm going to show it. But you don't have to have this. You don't have to have Snap-on. You don't have to have the most expensive name brand stuff. The only reason why I have this stuff is because it's a lifetime of collection. And like I said, I worked on cars professionally for, well, 22 years, right? Because I'm a manager at a shop. I don't work on stuff anymore. I advise. I'm a service advisor / manager. And but just, you know, the smallest investment goes the longest way. But the next video I'm going to cover is in the maintenance series would be fluids, right? The things that I use, the things that I like, the things that I do not like. So keep an eye out for that. Check out the other videos in the series. Hopefully I've learned to put a link somewhere here for the first one, which is the 1K service. If not, just refer to earlier in the playlist, which is the other video. I'm still building this guy out, guys. So just, hey, and I didn't ask in the last one, and I don't like causing people to feel like they have to, right? But here, like, comment, subscribe if you'd like. And if you got friends that are YouTubers or, people that watch on YouTube and they're motorcycle guys or they're just getting into motorcycle stuff, because a lot of this is geared towards the beginner, right? I mean, share the video with them. Hey, let's communicate in the comments. If anybody has any questions, I'll try to answer it the best I can. I will preface this that I'm not a motorcycle mechanic professionally, right? I mean, I've worked on my own stuff my whole life. I'm a triple certified. I have 3 AC certifications in the automotive field and 3 recertifications. So, I mean, I've just got a grasp on mechanical things, and which is why I would just never pay someone to work on my stuff, because there's no reason to. It all translates. It's all nuts and bolts. It's a Harley. It's not the space shuttle. Always got to remember that. But like, comment, subscribe, and like I always say, greasy side down, ride often, all the time. See you guys on the next one.